जगद्धिते कृपणजन्तो चिन्तामणि रमा सहचरं तदा रघुधुरी व्यभज्यत सरित्पतिः सकृतवेक्षणात् तत्क्षणात् प्रकृष्ट बहुपातक प्रशम हेतुना प्रकृष्ट बहुपातक प्रशम हेतुना सेतुना पानी पानी पमा पमा पम ग मग मरि सनि ग म पानी पसनि रि समारि सनि पमा गम पसनि पनि पमरि सरि गम जगदानन्द कारका इन्द्रनीलमणि सन्निभाप घन चन्द्र सूर्य नयना प्रमेय भागेन्द्र जनक सकलेश नागेन्द्र शयन समन वैरि सन्मुख जगदानन्द कारका सानि परि समरि स प मरि स ग म प म मनि प प नि स रि स स प मरि स नि प सानि प रि स नि प मरि स नि प स स प प म ग म कुसुम विमान सुरसारि लालित चरणा वरुणा सुरगणा मदहरणा सनातना जनुत जगदानन्द कारका पनि पनि पम पानि पानि पम पमानि पम सनि पम पम गम पमरि स पमरि सनि पमरि स सनि पमरि स पम सरि स पमरि सरि स मरि स पमरि सनि पप सनि मरि स सनि पम जगदानन्द कारका अगणित गुण गणक चेल साल विदडनारुणाभ समान जगडा पार महिमाद्भुत सुख विजन सदन सुर मुनि गण विहित कलशनी निधि रमण पाप गज नृसिंह वर त्यागराजा विनुत जगदानन्द कारका जय जानकी प्राणनायका जगदानन्द कारका
वात्सल्यात् अभयप्रदान समयात् आर्तार्ति निर्वापणात् औदार्यात् अघशोषणात् अगणित श्रेयः पदः प्रापणात् सेव्य श्रीपतिरेक एव जगतां एते च षट् साक्षिणः Prahladascha Vibhishanascha Karirat Panchal Ahalya Dhruva. With the abundant blessings of Paramatma Shriyapati, we have gathered in this very premises to be witness to a Nritya Harikatha that is titled The Six Witnesses. Well, any such note these days have to end with that statement that's very common across our social media handles. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So, this set of 6 witnesses is what is going to feature in our Harikatha. When we speak of Bhagavan, His grace, and His avatars, a great polymath of the 13th century summarizes the avatars. He says, Ichhamina viharakachapa mahapotrin yadrichhaharehe rakshāvāmana roshārāma karunāka kutstha hela halin kridāvallabha kalkavahanadasha kalkinnitif pratyaham. So he ascribes one feature, one USP of that avatara. He says, Ichha, the divine will to Matsya. Vihara Kachapa, Viharam is play. Yadrichhaharehe, when he assigns to Narasimha, he says the one who appeared at once. Yadrichhaharehe. So while he speaks of Rama Avataram, he associates the avatara with the word Karuna Kakutstha. Karuna, that mercy. So probably, I'm sure many of you, while we all studied literature, there is a poem which is a part called the Quality of Mercy from Shakespeare's the Merchant of Venice, where there is a person, I'm sure, I'm not trying to summarize the entire story, but it's about a person who wants to impress upon Portia, his lady love, and he needs wealth. He has squandered most of it. And that's when he seeks the help of another friend of his called Antonio. And this Antonio buys money. He takes it from a person who is used to lending as his profession, called as Shylock. And if he is unable to repay, that's when there is a pound of flesh which is asked closest to the heart. But that's not done. That's not humane. So that's when Portia argues and asks the judge then, let this person extract the pound of flesh closest to the heart, but on one condition, that there should not be a drop of blood. That is when there's this beautiful poem called The Quality of Mercy, which is delivered in the work of Shakespeare. It speaks about mercy. That time Shakespeare says that the person who is most merciful carries the scepter in his hand. That scepter is what Andal, 650 years before Shakespeare, refers to in Nachiyar Tirumozhi, where she says, Sengoludaya Tiruvarangattam Panitta. So she speaks about Sengol. And that Sengol is about mercy. So this Harikatha features on Bhagavan's Karuna that takes different forms. As I speak about the mercy of Bhagavan, I have to speak about the verses that all these vibrant musicians sang, to which the dancer danced. See, for your information, this entire crowd is Gen Z but me. I'm a millennial. So we have such vibrant, very talented, super talented Gen Z seated on stage and dancing. So I'm the only millennial, and the good part about the Gen Z is they answer to WhatsApp messages. So that's the good part about the Gen Z. And now, when we speak about Karuna, Tyagaraja Swami takes a cue from Vedanta Deshika, because the first verse is Kripe Krita Jagadhite Kripanajantu Chintamani. Chintamani is a wish-yielding stone. It is believed that in the gardens of Indra, there is a wish-yielding stone. Whatever you ask, it will give. So here the poet says that the person whom I'm referring to is a Chintamani. Kripe Krita Jagadhite Kripanajantu Chintamani. Why are you so merciful? So he has done an entire research and has found out that it's because of his wife. Rama sahacharam tada raghudurinya yantyaatvaya. With that, what did you do? So, you constructed a setu from Bharatadesham to Lanka. That was given a deadline of 5 days. If you read the Yuddha Kandam, I'm seated in front of Pratap Reddy sir, who religiously reads Sundara Kandam every day. So in the first few sargas of the Uttara Kandam, we come across Rama with the help of Nala, Nila, Jambavan, completing the entire bridge in 5 days. I used to wonder why this 5 days has been mentioned. It's been like 8.5 years since we have got one flyover in Bangalore called the E.G. Pura flyover. So it's taken 8.5 years. The pillars range, their lifetime is coming to a close before it receives the connectors at the top. So probably Valmiki wanted to say that deadlines were adhered to in those days. So he says, Vyabhajjada saritpatihi sakrita vekshanat tat kshanat prakrishta bahupataka prashama hetuna setuna. Hey Rama, it is your mercy that you wanted them to, all of them, you took all the Vanaras from Kishkindha to Sri Lanka, because for the Vanaras of Kishkindha is the current day Karnataka, it was their first trip abroad. So most of their family members were quite elated. So they started saying, Nam mane oru foreign hogta idarri. So for them it was a momentous occasion. And the Setu was constructed, and eventually Tyagaraja Swami in his Pancharatnam celebrates and attributes special names to Rama. He says, Aganita Guna. See, there is always a world of difference when we explain and how we sing. Because in singing, you'll have to adhere to the talam, the swaram. So you'll have to go at one stretch. Aganita Guna, Kanaka Chela, Sala Vidalana, Arunabha Samana Charana, Apara Mahima Bhutasu Kavijana Hritsadana, Suramuni Gana Vihita, Kalashanira Nidhijaramana Papa, Gajendra Simhavara Tyagaraja. So this is how you split the words. So he says, Rama, you are a repository of auspicious attributes. Aganita Guna, Kanaka Chela. So though Rama is known to be the dark-hued person, it seems when the rays of the rising sun fall on Rama, you can see him as an embodiment of that gold which is just undergone smelting. So, Kanaka Chela, Arunabha Samana Charana, your feet are akin to the red hue that is attached to the petals of a lotus that has blossomed to the rays of the rising sun. I am sure Tyagaraja, who lived in Tamil Nadu, made such a beautiful comparison between the sun and the lotus, not knowing of what Tamil Nadu is. So, he says, Arunabha Samana Charana, Apara Mahima, the one's greatness, the one whose greatness is beyond our thinking. Arunabha Samana Charana, Apara Mahima, Adbhutasu Kavijana Hritsadana. That Rama, with your mercy, you are able to sit, remain seated in the tongues and the hearts of people. Because Vedanta Deshika says, Jihvagra Simhasanam Abhyupeyaha. How should speech be? How should a person speak? Whether the person is a public speaker, a politician, or a corporate head, how should the person speak? The person shouldn't be hunting for words. It seems the words should come. It should appear as if Hayagriva is seated at the tip of his tongue. Jihvagra Simhasanam Abhyupeyaha. So here he says, Rama's greatness is so much so. So this is the kripa of Rama that each poet, each acharya, time and again have described for pages and verses together. But it did so happen, as usual, that there was a case filed stating that Bhagavan is not merciful. That is when this case reached the court premises, the judge asked, are there representatives from Bhagavan's side to prove that he is merciful? 6 witnesses were called. The first witness was Dhruva. Dhruva, that little boy who features in the Bhagavata Mahapurana, is the first witness of this mercy. So, Bhattatri summarizes what is mentioned in the Bhagavatam in the Narayaniyam. He says, Uttanapada nripater manunandanasya jaya babhutir suruchir nitaramabhishta. There was a king called Uttanapada. He had, his first wife was called Suniti. Second wife was called Suruchi. I have told this in many of my lectures, that when you deal with such kings, you will have this question of polygamy coming again and again. If you ask, oh, why did he have so many wives? I have no answer. So, better if we reach Vaikuntham, we have to ask Uttanapada there. So, Uttanapada had a wife called Suniti. Second wife was called Suruchi. The first wife, through the king, had a son called as Dhruva. Suruchi had a son called Uttama. But Uttama was nowhere close to what his name meant. Uttama means the best. He was nowhere close. He was nowhere even in the boundary of that best. But the first son was absolutely a dear heart. His name was Dhruva. It's a simple incident where the king is seated in his Rajya Sabha. That is when his second son called Uttama comes and sits on his lap. This king, being the very dutiful, sincere, loving, doting father, he embraces his son, pats him on the back, and then says some nice words. The other boy, the first son, Dhruva, who was looking at this scene of his father being so affectionate to his brother, wanted to be a recipient of the father's love. So he comes running to the father and sees the other lap empty. So he sits over it. That's when there is one lady who holds the boy, Dhruva's neck, tight. She holds him from the back and she says, this boy is quite startled. So somebody's holding me by my neck. The little boy of Kilapancha Varshaha says, Shuka. Kilapancha Varshaha, around 5. He doesn't say 5 years, 4 months, 3 days, nothing like that. There was no school admission, right? So no problem. So he was held. That is when this boy turned to just check who had the audacity to do this to him. He sees his stepmother, as usual, being very nasty with him. She didn't stop with that. She said, probably you saw my son, who is incidentally your brother, receive such love from your father, and you too wanted this love, and you're sitting on your father's other lap. Dhruva, do you even realize that you are not born of me? When you are not born of me, you are not equally fortunate as the other boy. All this to a 5-year-old boy. Had she told any of these Gen Z, they would have said, same to you. Nobody is going to listen. But this boy of those days had to listen. So he was startled and he was shocked, he was agitated, he was sad. If you were my son, you can desire. You are not my son. So you should not even desire to sit on this man's lap. Each word of what she uttered, it looked as if, it seemed as if, Tyagaraja Swami says, if a trident, which is made in cast iron, were put into a blazing furnace, and that trident is taken red hot and put into one's ears, how painful will the trident which is red hot pierced into one's ears be, were the words of Suruchi. So this boy, who was extremely pained, did not see his father stop Suruchi from uttering such painful words. The boy goes running to his mother, Suniti, and he complains. He says that father did not stop. Look at what Suruchi has done. Why should I bear the brunt? That is when Suniti says, probably I've heard, my dear son, that one's own karma is what that affects that person, but I do realize that even the mother's karma can affect the child. I am helpless, Dhruva. This boy, Kilapancha Varshaha, he's just about 5. He goes out of the kingdom, seeking solace, seeking path. That is when he spots Narada Maharshi, says Bhagavata Mahapuranam. Sapta Rishis states Vishnu Puranam. They all guided. They all said, see, we will teach you one nama. That nama will give you solace. But the boy said, how long can I keep chanting the nama? Then they said to see the nami. Namam is the name. Nami means the one who owns that name. So to see the Nami, you will have to get into the woods and then do intense tapasya to see him. This boy took it upon him. He mustered the courage to receive the Nama, go into the woods, get into tapasya, and finally when Bhagavan appeared, every time our acharyas describe the beauty of Bhagavan, they fall short of words from the Shabda Kosha. They say, what a moon, full moon-like face, lotus petal-like eyes, sesame like nose, cheeks that appear as if they were scooping jars that were put into emerald mountains and then layers of butter were applied over it to give that finesse and finish. What kind of lips that appear as if the corals were put together and ground to get that red tinge. What kind of teeth that appears as if the stars were taken from the constellation and were arranged in the upper and the lower jaw. What kind of neck that you see of Panchajanya, the conch-shaped neck protruding. What a broad chest with the resplendent Kaustuba, with the mole called as Srivatsa, seated on which is Mahalakshmi, with a thin hip, with the Nabhi that from which comes the lotus, seated on which is Brahma, like a bumblebee that hovers around the flower for its nectar. And those thighs that appear like the stems of the banana plant that are covered with a yellow silk that glisten through the rays of the sun, making the sun squirm if he was not that radiant, and to those feet that appear even softer and more fragrant than the petals of the lily. That Bhagavan sat on Garuda, and he appeared in front of Dhruva. Dhruva was in intense tapasya, and he opened his eyes. The moment he saw Bhagavan's eyes, that love that he wanted from his father, that parental love that he desired, aspired, all that he could see in the eyes of Bhagavan. So what Bhagavan did, says Bhagavatam, he took the conch of his palm and touched the boy's cheek with that palm. Immediately the boy started shedding tears. And then what appeared as shokam inside the boy came as shlokam. Shokaha, shlokatvam agataha. Now all this, the boy being traumatized, the boy being ridiculed, the boy being uttered with the nasty words, and then the boy going to the forest, and then the boy seeking solace, all this, Tyagaraja gives it in one churnika. Sa patni matayau suruchiche karnashulamaina matanu veenula surukkana talaka sriharini dhyaninchi sukhimpakaleda kanakana ruchira.
Sa pa da ma da pa ma da pa ma ga ri sa ni ga ri sa ma ga ri sa da pa ma ni da pa ri sa ni da ga ga ri sa ni da pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga na ga na
This, I'm sure, most of you who are veterans in music, who have been fans of classical Shastriya Sangeetam, will be aware that this forms an integral part to one of the Ghanapanchakaraga Pancharatna Kriti. So this is the fourth Kriti called Kana Kana Ruchira. The way Tyagaraja has expounded the beautiful Telugu language. Telugu as such is beautiful. He has soaked that in nectar and then strung them together as beautiful kritis. The way he has used those words, because I'm sure I realized the effort, the love, and the taste in the food that used to be made in my house, that still is being done, while I stayed for 3 weeks in my engineering hostel. So that's when you realize what moksham is and where to seek it. So when I returned, when I came for my vacation break after the first few weeks in my college, so I was a lot more tamed, humbled. So this difference in the demeanor was noted by my family members. They still believed that it was my Atma within my body. So they made some nice dishes for me and it tasted so good. Probably when we taste something for the first time, or probably the time that we wanted the most, it tastes like heaven. But the same product, when being delivered with the same quality the second time with a little break, will not yield the same taste as what we had the first time. So chapter 3 of economics, this is called the law of diminishing utility and marginality. But this is not the case with Bhagavan. If it was so, why would people keep visiting Tirupati again? If he looks the same, if he has to give you the same experience, then there should be a law of diminishing utility. It doesn't happen. So Tyagaraja says, Rama, when I look at you, you're extremely handsome. But when I look at you again, you look the same way you looked at me for the first time. Kana, kana, Telugu bhashalo oka shabdam, adi kriya padam kada. Kana ante, I see. Kana, kana ruchira. You look even better when I see you the second time. It keeps increasing. That exponentially increases. Kana, kana ruchira. And the beauty about this kriti, I'm sure most of you will know. This kriti is in the ragam Varali. Varali is a very, very deep raga. But traditional musicians never had this paddhati of teaching Varali to the student. It was a belief, you can call it a myth. The myth was, if you teach Varali to your student, you will end up having occasions where you will have an altercation with your student and then the student will go away. But students wanted this to be taught because they found this as an opportunity where you could go away. So, and less than 100 years before, one lady who mustered the courage and took all the efforts to bring Tyagaraja Kritis together by the banks of river Kaveri was Bengaluru Nagaratnamma. So she said, let all of the musicians get together and sing. So singing is easier. Musicians coming together is a tougher task. So musicians should come together and sing. But the problem comes with the fourth Kriti, which is Varali. How will you sing when you have not learnt? That is when there was a great Mahavidwan called Maharajapuram Vishwanath Iyer. He was the father of the very celebrated Santanam. So he said, I know this. But how will he teach? Because if you teach, of course the Aradhana will not happen because the myth is everybody will fight. But you don't need a Varali in the parliament. Without Varali also you can fight, but still. So how will you teach? That is when Maharajapuram Vishwanath Iyer said, I will be seated in the second floor of the building. All aspiring students should be seated in the first floor. I will sing from the second floor. Whatever you listen, you learn. So this is how Varali was taught. So whatever they sang has come from the second floor. So that is the greatness of Dhruva. So Dhruva's episode has a great information for us. That though children are children, your words can be really hurtful to children at times. We oft believe that children forgive and forget. they may forgive but not forget. Some of them can exactly remember what was told to them even at the age of 6. So words can be hurtful. So there is a message that the Karuna of Bhagavan shown to Dhruva, Uttanapada's son, has a message for us in 2025. But we have taken it to the other end of the spectrum. I'm sure those of you who are older to me, of my parents' age, of my grandparents' age, would be those fortunate Homo sapiens who would have received at least one beating from your parents. With whatever they have in their hand, whatever weapon comes to their hand, you would have received one. But I'm sure even the very thought today can put you behind the Tihar jail. So today, parents and grandparents are completely subservient to their children because ekameva dvitiyam, the child is one. So in those days, I'm sure, it was cheaper by the dozen. You had 10 or 12 kids. So if one frowns, the parents were happy that one has gone away. Since there is only one now, there's a huge cost attached to that frowning of that child. So we surrender to the child. So I don't think the episode has to say that the parents and the grandparents have to surrender. But at the same time, be very watchful of your words, because Valluvar says, Teenal suttappun gullarum arade navinal suttavadu. Where is this Tirukural found? In every Pallavan bus. But if we implement it, it's easier. Now, Dhruva becomes the first witness. So he said, Bhagavan has been merciful. So this case that accuses that Bhagavan doesn't have mercy is wrong because he has been merciful to me. I am the living example. Judge noted, he took all the observations. He said, Jao, Dhruv. So Dhruv went away. Dhruv is from Uttar Pradesh. So Dhruva, we cannot make him South Indian. Dhruv. He's Dhruv. So Dhruv went. So the next boy had to come. This boy was an extremely valorous boy. His name was Prahlada. Prahlada's Sambhavam is described in the 7th skanda of Srimad Bhagavatam. Very interesting story that all of you would have heard, listened, inspired from, relived, lived, visited. There was this brother of very, very antisocial nature of Hiranyaksha called Hiranyakashipu. It appeared as if his body was made of gold, which means they were yellow complexioned. So Hiranyakashipu had a wife called Kayadhu. Kayadhu and Hiranyakashipu lived as a couple. Generally, there is a belief here. I'll tell you, as per Purana, Hiranyakashipu lived around the Multan region of Pakistan. That is called Moolasthanam. But as per the Sthala Purana that we have bequeathed, he lived around the Kshetram of Ahobilam in Andhra. So now that Multan has gone to Pakistan and there is no scope of us visiting there, we should be happy with Ahobilam. But Ahobilam has a great connection with the great towering personality whom we are celebrating today, because Ahobilam, Ahobalam is the shloka in the Sthala Puranam. Ahobilam, Ahobalam. This Ahobala is the name of the personality whom we are celebrating. He was called Ahobala Reddy, which eventually during his school days was recorded as Obul Reddy. So his name was Ahobala. So this Ahobala Kshetram has a great connection with the person whom we are celebrating. So this Hiranyakashipu and Kayadhu, they were a couple. This man was not so good. And she tried to convince him, make him a good man. Kannada bhasheyalli ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಾಯಿ ಬಾಲು ಡೊಂಕು ಅಂತ. ಕನ್ನಡ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. How can you correct the dog's tail? That is what. Now if there are dog lovers, forgive me, I just use. Then they will file a case. Oh, are you against dogs? So, dog is good. They are just comparing its tail. Shunaf puchchamivavartam pandityam dambavarjitam is the Prachina proverb. Shunaf puchcham ivavartam pandityam dambavarjitam. That's a slave. If a person doesn't live as per what he has learned, Pandityam dambavarjitam, like what? Like the dog's tail. Because dog's tail will not serve any purpose. It will be rolled upwards and it won't be bushy. So it won't serve anybody's purpose. Similarly, is one's education if it doesn't give him good habits. Shunaf puchamivavartam pandityam. So dogs, somebody asked, oh, in Bhagavan's creation, how can you speak? Because you'll have to take the right pauses when you'll have to speak like this, right? So, how do you compare the dog's tail? Isn't it inhumane? No, it is humane, because for the simile, you need the dog's tail. The poet said, for the simile, I need the dog's tail. That is why the dog's tail is like that. Shunaf pucham. Now, she tried correcting. This man was incorrigible, irreversible, and irreparable. So he went on a spree to do tapasya towards Brahma. While he was just about to leave, she went and showed her strip. It had those red lines. She said, I'm pregnant. He said, congratulations. And he left on tapasya. Now she delivered her child. But there is a point here. When she was pregnant, she was abducted by Indra. Bhagavatam says she was kidnapped by Indra. So when Ravana was questioned, why did you kidnap Sita? He said, see, Indra has already done, did courts question, then why are they questioning me now? He asked. So there is a law of precedence there. So he kidnapped Kayadhu. That is when Narada Maharishi, who spotted Kayadhu, he said, Indra, this doesn't look like your wife Shachi Devi. Who is this? He said, this is Hiranyakashipu's wife. How dare you kidnap her, Indra? Why did you kidnap? That is when he said, oh, she's carrying the fetus of that Asura Vamsha. She's carrying the child of the fetus of Hiranyakashipu. So what? Hiranyakashipu is bad. So his child will also be bad. See, Narada said, you can never be judgmental and decide the nature of the child based on the father or mother, because your father is good, Indra. I said, so that is when, because Narada has asked, because Narada had very good political connections. So Indra said, okay, you take her. So this pregnant Kayadhu was brought to Narada's ashrama. And every day she used to listen to discourses. See, listening for one day, because for Obul Reddy sir, people have called, you have all come. Every day if you have to listen, it is a pain, right? That is why most of them say, so that's a compliment. At least I'm a Restil tablet with no side effects. So here, Kayadhu was taken. See, there is a point here. I'm sure, since I'm also dealing with, I'm sure there'll be veteran doctors here. There'll be obstetricians, there'll be gynecologists. Bhagavatam states that the fetus's listening ability begins from the second trimester. So Prahlada was not a bhakta after he was born. He was born as a bhakta. Garbha Shriman Jayamanam hi Purusham Yam Pashyen Madhusudanaha Satvikaha Satuvigyeyaha Savai Mokshartha Chintakaha is the Purana Vachanam. Who is that who will have the opportunity to listen to one line of Valmiki, one line of Vyasa, Jayamanam hi Purusham. That one who listened to a Vachanam while he was inside his mother's womb, one line, will be the one who will be seated in the Music Academy on the 29th of November. Trust me, when each of us were in our mother's wombs, our mothers would have listened to at least one line of Puranam or some stotram that is making us sit here. Jayamanam hi Purusham. So this child was a recipient of Bhagavan's grace even before he was born. What was taught to him? That is where Tirumangayalvar says, Kulam Tarum, Selvam Tandidum, Adiyar Paduttuyar Ayina Vellam Nilam Tarum Shayyum, Nil Vishumbarulum. What can Nama give to us? Because in Sanatana Dharma, we have been often told, if you can't recite this, tell this Nama. If you can't recite this, tell one Nama. If we tell this, then there is another question. Do you have a patent for that research paper? What research paper? If you want, you recite, else don't. If you ask what is the Saram of Vishnu Sahasranamam, Parvati asks and Shiva says, Sri Rama Rama Rameti. Ramanamam is the essence. Namanum Mudgalanum Pesha, Narage Ninnargal Ketka, Naragame Shuvargamagum Namangal Udayanambi, Avanadur, Tiruvarangam Yennadu, says Tondaradi Pudiyalvar in Tirumalai, where he says that Krishna Nama can help us. cross the samsaram. So every nama has a certain feeling, vibration. Alvar says, what can nama do? Kulam tarum. First, he is very practical. See, if we say nama, if you recite one nama, it will give you moksham. Nobody will recite. The moment you recite, you will get moksham. Who will take that nama? Nobody will take. Kulam tarum, you will be given a good family. Selvam tandidum. Your stock prices will go up. Selvam tandidum. Adiyar paduttuyar ayina vellam. Adiyar paduttuyar. Whatever sufferings the devotees feel, that will be eased. Ayina vellam. Nilam tarum seyyum neel visumbarulum. Finally, it can give you moksham also. Valam tarum matrum tandidum petra tayinum ayina seyyum. One day, for all of us, our mothers will die. Death is something which is inevitable. Every time we read Shankara Bhashyam, Ramanuja Bhashyam, Madhva Bhashyam, one thing that they are very clear is, welcome death. Whenever somebody is born, the acharyas will cry. We do the topsy-turvy. When somebody is born, we are very happy. When they die, we cry. Acharyas are happy. That is the level of realization that they have. All that I can speak. I have not even that hour of that realization. I've just read all of this. So how does one feature moksham there? He says, more than moksham, when you keep getting involved with the name of the Lord, that can give you the solace which even your mother could not have given. Petra tayinum ayina seyyum nalam tarum sollai naan kandu kondeen Narayana ennum namam. Now, that name is personified as mother, the maternal love. That is when Namadeva of the Varkari Parivar says that when I see Vitthala in Pandharpur, he is nobody but the personification of unadulterated mother's love. So he calls Vitthala his mother, Bhakta Jana Vatsale Vitthale. So Tirumangayalvar of Tamil Nadu and Namadeva of Marathi tradition, they had such a telepathic connection. See, they never had any disgust towards any language, because the first step to knowledge is never show disgust towards any language. The moment you start hating a language, eventually your own language will never come to you. As much as you are very proud of your language, never put the other language down or don't call it dead. A person who doesn't have the ability to even grasp the nuances of his own language will make such statements that is nothing but a worthless bauble. So here, Namadeva of the Marathi tradition and Tirumangayalvar of the Tamil tradition joined hands, like how they are going to join in music now.
Kulam tarum kulam tarum selvam tandidum kulam tarum selvam tandidum Adiyar padutuyarayina vellam Adiyar padutuyarayina vellam Nilandarum seyyum நிலந்தரும் சேரும் நீர்விசும் பரோளும் அருளோடு பெருநிலம் வழிக்கும் அருளோடு பெருநிலம் வழிக்கும் வலம் தரும் மற்றும் தந்திடும் வலம் தரும் மற்றும் தந்திடும் பெற்ற தாயினும் ஆயின செய்யும் பெற்ற தாயினும் ஆயின செய்யும் தாயினும் ஆயின செய்யும் ஆயின செய்யும் ஏஹோ விட்டலே பக்த ஜனவத்சலே பக்த ஜனவத்சலே கருணா கண்டோளே கருணா கண்டோளே பாடுரங்கே 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 பக்த ஜனவத்சலே பக்த ஜனவத்சலே விட்டல விட்டல பாண்டுரங்கா 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 விட்டல 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 பக்த ஜனவத்சலே பக்த ஜனவத்சலே பக்த ஜனவத்சலே நலம் தரும் நலம் தரும் சொல்லை நான் கண்டு கொண்டேன் கண்டு கொண்டேன் நாராயணா 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 என்னும் நாராயணா என்னும் நாமம் நாமம்
The little boy Prahlada, he received the essence of Omiti Vyahareta Namah iti paschat Narayanayetu Uparishtat Omityekaksharam Namaha iti Dve Akshare Narayanayeti Panchaksharani of the Ashtakshara mantra while he was still a fetus from Narada, even before he was born. So the mercy of Bhagavan on Prahlada is visible. The boy was tortured as usual. We know all what Hiranyakashipu did. Bhattatri says, Sashulairaviddaha Subahuta Mahito Diggajaganaihi Mahasarpaidashtropyanashana. So he was asked to be trampled by elephants. The elephant took a reverse gear and went back. He was given poison. He didn't die. The expiry date was over for that poison. Nothing worked. So the boy survived every possible venture or task that was made to kill him. Finally, we know the moment when the father called the boy and said, see, somebody is protecting you. Let me know who he is. The boy said, see, I've been telling you all this while, my father, the one who has been in me, the one who I invoke is in the name in which you speak. He is there, he has pervaded and permeated every letter of what you ask. You ask, where is Hari? He is in the W, the H, the E, the R, the E. He is there everywhere. The dull head that he was, he didn't understand. Then he asked if he is there in this pillar. Now, there are various commentaries to why he chose one pillar. So the beauty is, one commentator says, only when Prahlada said that Bhagavan is omniscient and omnipresent, did Bhagavan himself realize that he is omniscient. So it took that little boy's words for that to fructify and for him to know. That's one interpretation. The second is, Prahlada said, you can check this. Why? I'm sure you all visit temples of great grandeur and architecture across Bharatadesham, especially in South India. If you look at those large monolith pillars of be the Chola times, the Pandya times, the Vijayanagara times, or the Nayaka times, you'll see a pillar. The central portion of it is either like a cuboid or cylindrical, and towards the later half of that particular pillar, you will see 4 petals. Those are called Nagabandhas in Agama Shastra. It is not exactly a rose petal, it is the head of a snake. So Agama Shastra gives one reason. It says, this is ascribed to Narasimha Avataram, because when the boy was asked, where is Narasimha, the boy clearly said, this pillar. Because to the boy's eyes, he could see Adisesha, it seems. Because it is believed, we see that, right? Suppose the Honorable Prime Minister is going to come tomorrow, the security will come today and check this place. Even before Bhagavan could emerge from the pillar, Adisesha had to do the security check of that pillar. So to commemorate that Adisesha, there is Nagabandha throughout. So the boy was asked, where is Hari? This boy said, he's here. Hiranyakashipu was wild, he was mad. He took his mace and he ran towards the pillar. So this dialogue between the father and son took some time. That is when one of the students who was listening to this narration asked his teacher, what was Bhagavan doing inside the pillar till then? He had to spend his time, right? That is when the Acharyan said, Nakattukku uram pottu kondirundar. He was polishing his nails. So then it struck. Bhattatri describes this. Are kvasau sakala jagadatma harihi prabhinti sme stambham chalita karavalo diti sutaha atah paschad vishno nahi vaditumi shosmi sahasa kripatman vishvatman pavana puravasin mridayamam stambhe ghattayato hiranyakashipo karnau sama churna chan agurna jagadanda kunda kuharo ghorastava bhudravaha Shutva kila daitya raja hridaye purvakadapyashrutam kampa kaschana sampapata daitosma ambhoja bhuvishtarat. The tremor that emerged from the pillar shook Brahma, who fell from his lotus seat. Ambhoja bhuhu vishtarat. Then Bhagavan came, and then it was a time, because all this was a part of his optimization technique, because he is asked that I should not die during the day, not during the night, from the animal, from the human, all that Bhagavan. So it's a simple optimization question. So he had to optimize all the constraints and come between 4:30 and 6 p.m. in the evening as a man lion, using the nails which have a cuticle, which is a living portion, rest of which is the dead cells, then use that particular time to vanquish Hiranyakashipu. Now Prahlada has been a recipient. How was he a recipient? Because this is what he is narrating to the judge. Judge listens to Upanyasam very well. So he had to say, he is so merciful. How is he merciful? That is when it is said, Sata patala bhishane sarabhasa attahasod bhate spurat kridhi parisputat bhrukuti kepi vaktre krite kripa kapata kesarin. The Acharya says, while he was staring Hiranyakashipu, his eyes were showering mercy on Prahlada. Can this happen? I used to think whether this will happen or not. When my mother used to argue with my father, she used to still give me Maggie. So giving Maggie and argument can happen at the same time. So Nrisimha tore open and was merciful towards Prahlada. So this is what the Acharya says. Now, Narasimha was very angry. Who will pacify him? We need Prahlada. But Prahlada said, see, if I am the single voice, who will listen? So he delegated pacifying Narasimha to 4 vibrant Gen Z girls, and they are going to pacify him with a beautiful kriti called Shrimanini Mandira.
Shrimanini Mandira Bhakta Mandara Trailokya Sammohanakara Premavatara Jagannatha Lokanirata Matsyaavatarundavai Somakundrunchi Vedali Rakshinchi Devasurull Ksheeravarannidin Drachagagora Kurmavatarundavai Mandaram Bitti Shri Mohini Veshamum Poni Piyoshadanam Pugavinchi Varaharupam Punan Bhangapatam Bhudevi Rakshinchi Inaduni Tattvamul Nammagaleni Yajnanikim Satyadipambu Chupinchi Mohambu Varinchi Ni Vishnu Bhavambu Rupinchi Ni Dasu Kotin Katakshimpaga Ee Vichitrakratimbu Venchesinava Parandama Vaikuntadhama Vaikuntadhama Namo Narasimha Namo Bhaktapara Namo Narasimha Namo Bhaktapara Vidhatadule Verumu Chendu Ugra Rupamu Upashamimpuha Vidhatadule Verumu Chendu Ugra Rupamu Upashamimpuha Trilokalaku Priyam Vainani Prasannakriti Prasadimpuma Trilokalaku Priyam Vainani Prasannakriti Prasadimpuma Namo Narasimha Namo Bhaktapara Namo Narasimha Namo Bhaktapara Namo Narasimha Namo Bhaktapara
Prahlada, next to Dhruva, was a recipient of Bhagavan's mercy through Nrisimhavataram, and he is the second witness. The third is, of course, an elephant, because the judge was asking who's the next witness, and then they said the entire ecosystem has to go outside the court because we have to bring the next witness. It is Gajendra. He has to fit inside the witness box. So they all went out. Again, this is a very well-known charitram. I'm sure grandmothers and grandfathers here, the first charitram that you will be narrating to your grandchildren is Gajendra Moksham. Most of the times the grandfather will be the crocodile. So that is the only stage where the grandmother can avenge by leaving the chakram. So it is a belief that there was a king called Indradyumna. Indradyumnaha Pandyakhandadirajas Tvadbhaktatma Chandanadrau Kadachit Tvatsevayam Magnadhihi Aluloke Naivagastyam Praptamatithyakamam, says Bhattatri. There was a Pandya Raja called Indradyumna, and it is said that while he was doing Aradhana, Upasana, Agastya Rishi entered, and instead of standing and saying, "Oh Agastya Rishi, I welcome you to my court, I am indeed blessed, honored," he just shook his head and said, "Please come." The Agastya Rishi got angry. He cursed, "That animal which keeps shaking the head is elephant, so you will be the elephant." See, the beauty about the Puranas is both blessings and curses used to fructify. Today neither happens. Neither do blessings fructify, nor do curses. So immediately this king became Gajendra. But the beauty about this Gajendra is he was a Jatismara. Jatismara in our Shastra means the one who has memory of his previous Janma. 1 in 1 lakh will have that memory. I don't know what I ate yesterday also. Forget the previous Janma. 1 in that 1 lakh will know. So he knew what he was before. Now he went along with a few other female elephants near a Tatakam. It is believed that that place is what Bhagavatam describes is a place called Attalanallur near Tirunelveli. That's the belief because it is by the banks of river Tamraparani, because Shuka says by the banks of Tamraparani. So this elephant went, normal National Geographic Channel, seen this is, elephant went along with a few other female elephants. They started playing with the waters. He took one lotus. Generally in our grandmother's narration, they will say, Yana pochu, and the pushpam eduthudu perumalukku kudukonu nenacha. Adu perumalukku kudukonu nenikla. Bhagavatam doesn't say that. It just took as a style statement. It held that lotus in its hand, trunk, that's all. Now, at that point in time, a crocodile came and caught the elephant's foot. We will generally say this is ecosystem. What will the crocodile do? It can't eat parupurunda kolambu. It has to eat only the elephant. What can the crocodile do? Its diet is only the elephant. But now the beauty is Bhagavatam turns Bhagavatam in a few minutes from now, because the elephant in that excruciating pain manages to remember its Purva Janma. It starts presenting itself with such fervor to Bhagavan, stating that Bhagavan, you are of such, the repository of all such qualities, I believe in you, and it starts doing a stuti. That stuti, it does it internally and Bhagavan listens to it. Now, how he listens to it is another chapter. People have spoken for 4 days in length for Gajendra Moksham. What was the scene in Vaikuntham? What did they do? So, Potana in Telugu, Andhra Bhagavatam comes up with a very unique concept. Most of the narrations is Bhagavan was on the serpent couch, Mahalakshmi was pressing the legs. This is the general narration. But Potana says Bhagavan and Bhagavati, Mahavishnu and Lakshmi, they were playing dice, Paramapadam. As they were playing, they heard this. Then Bhagavan left without taking Garuda. Garuda said, sir, wait, sir, I am your vehicle. You tell that drop point, because he said, go, go. Kidhar jana hai, drop point dalo. Whether it is cash or whether GPay, what will you do? He is like our Chennai driver. So that is when Bhagavan said, you go. Garuda went. By that time, Bhagavan could look at his chakram. Chakram was missing. So he thought, I must have forgotten. Because some people are born to forget. If you see most houses, they will be searching for something or the other throughout the day. That is also Purva Janma Karma. Something they will be searching. Either somewhere it will be. So Bhagavan said, maybe that is contagious and I have received the ailment. Where is Chakra? Chakra tum kidhar ho? Chakra had done its job. It had gone because it knew what his master wanted and served him accordingly. Now, when you listen to this story, you tell this to any Gen Z, Gen Alpha, Beta, Gamma. Anybody you tell, they'll say, this is wrong. Bhagwan can't kill animals. That's wrong. Absolutely wrong. Now, this is called Workflix. From Netflix, we have gone to Workflix. Now, the point is, we are not here to decide what Bhagavan should do. We are here to understand from what he has done, what we can learn. If he had consulted with us, we would have given our opinion. He didn't do that, sadly. So for now, let's understand that what he has done is right. And then let's go to the story. Now, this crocodile received mukti first. So what is the moral of the story? Instead of worshipping Bhagavan, if you bite the devotee's feet, you will get moksham first. That is not the moral. Now, Gajendra made a plea. He said, Bhagavan, if you give me this shariram only, if this shariram lasts, only then will I be able to propitiate. See, in Sanatana Dharma, we have been often told that Atma is different from Shariram. Krishna attributes chapter 2, chapter 3 in Bhagavad Gita towards it. Atma is Nityam, Shariram is Anityam. Just because Shariram is Anityam, it is not anyway less valuable than the Atma, because only through Shariram you do services, you do Kainkaryam. So body is equally important. That is when the elephant sought the mercy of Bhagavan and said, at least hold this Shariram for some time. Through this Shariram, I need to do services to you. this tribute of the elephant to Bhagavan has been immortalized by a great poet called as Narayana Tirtha in his Tarangam, where he depicts Bhagavan as the personification, the embodiment of unadulterated, uninterrupted mercy, where he says, Sharanam Bhava Karunamai Kuru Dina Dayalu.
Sharanam Bhava Karunamai Dina Dayalu. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai Kuru Dina Dayalu. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai Kuru Dina Dayalu. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai Kuru Dina Dayalu. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai. Karunarasa Varunalaya, Karunarasa Varunalaya, Karunarasa Varunalaya, Kaliraja Kripalu. Karunarasa Varunalaya, Kaliraja Kripalu. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai. Adhuna khlu vidhina maya sudhiya surabharitam. Adhuna khlu vidhina maya sudhiya surabharitam. Madhusudana, 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 Haramamakaduridam. Madhusudana, Madhusudana, Haramamakaduridam. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai. Grinimandala Manikundala Bhanimandala Shayana. Grinimandala Manikundala Bhanimandala Shayana. Animadi Suguna Bhushana, Animadi Suguna Bhushana, Animadi Suguna Bhushana, Manimandapa Sadana. Animadi Suguna Bhushana, Manimandapa Sadana. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai. Vinata Sutta Ghanavahana Munimanasa Bhavana. Vinata Sutta Ghanavahana Munimanasa Bhavana. Madhusudana, 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 Haramamakaduridam. Madhusudana, Madhusudana, Haramamakaduridam. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai Kuru Dina Dayalu. Sharanam Bhava Karunamai.
The mercy that Bhagavan showed to the wailing elephant is what that constitutes one of the important chapters of a Purana called Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam. Bhagavan finally delivered peace to the elephant. Tamil ottagonu choluva. Ottagam kuduttar. So he was as merciful as the mother. See, I don't know, I'm speaking from my own personal experience. During my childhood, if I would tumble or fall somewhere and would come home running with tears in my eyes and then say, okay, see, I have fallen. The beauty was, I would be thrashed for that. Now, how do we even explain this? My mother or father, they will say, why did you fall? Why? Because that hit that comes from the mother or the thrash that comes from the mother does not come out of anger. That comes out of concern. So, to an external person, it may seem, oh, this is inhumane, she needs to be behind the bars. But from the eyes of the Purana, what the mother does is a humane, motherly, maternal act. Similarly, we have to see Bhagavan's treatment of the crocodile. Bhagavan's treatment of the crocodile was, why do you keep misbehaving? And he took that crocodile to Moksham. As much as Gajendra. Now the problem is, if he takes both of them to Vaikuntha, won't they fight there? Subala Upanishad says, the moment you enter Vaikuntha, you will not have the human feelings of envy, jealousy, greed and all of that. So they are friends there. So this is Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam. We have seen a young boy, Dhruva, a young boy, Prahlada, an elephant. Who is the fourth witness of Bhagavan's mercy? That fourth witness is Ahalya. In Srimad Ramayanam, we come across Dasharatha, whose apple to the eye of Dasharatha was Rama. He had other sons, but somehow all his focus was on Rama. So Vishwamitra comes and says that I have some Rakshasas to be vanquished. I can't do that personally because I will be engaged in rituals. I would seek the help of your son. Dasharatha initially hesitates. But then Vasishtha convinces him, stating that Vishwamitra is a very capable person, though I have loads of differences with him, which is out in the media. But still, I would still urge you to send your son Rama with him. So whenever Rama went, he was followed by his shadow, and his shadow was called by a name. That name was Lakshmana. So Rama and Rama's shadow called Lakshmana, the two of them, the duo, accompanied Vishwamitra. It was like their internship, just that they had to work during their internship. So they went into the forest, and as they went into the forest, he was able to vanquish Tataka. He was able to vanquish Subahu, drive away Maricha, and then it was a time where he had to be paid the stipend. That's when Vishwamitra received a message stating that there is a Dhanus Puja which is happening in Mithila. O Vishwamitra, you're hereby invited. So Vishwamitra said, well, he could foresee, being a Brahma Rishi, he could see as well as foresee. So he knew that there were two capable girls called Sita and Urmila who used to live in Mithila, and he had two capable bachelors at hand who were Rama and Lakshmana, so he wanted to take them. But then Rama's CV till Vishwamitra's intervention looked blank, because there was no set of achievements that Rama could showcase, and the father was worried if Rama would be given in marriage to someone, because nobody will give in marriage. People asked, what does your son possess that urges us, coaxes us to give our daughters in marriage? Dasharatha said he listens to both the father and mother. They said that's a disqualification. And finally, Vishwamitra thought that his CV had to be filled, killed Tataka, killed Subahu, drove away Maricha. Who will give? So that is when he thought, let me come up with something new. Then he took them, he detoured them. Metro construction was happening in Mithila. So he took them by the side road. That side road had an ashrama called Mithilopavanam. There it was such a dilapidated state that Rama asked, this ashrama looks as if somebody has not been living here for years together. That is when Vishwamitra says that there used to live a rishi called as Gautama. Gautama was given in marriage to one of the flawless, blemishless creations of Brahma, who was a personification of beauty. Her name was Ahalya. Ahalya and Gautama lived happily. And as usual, Indra wanted to cause some controversy, and he was interested in Ahalya. So he took the disguise of Gautama, and in Gautama Rishi's absence, he came to live a life with Ahalya. This is where we need to go deep into the Ramayana. It is clearly mentioned in the Ramayana of Valmiki that Ahalya knew that the one who has come is not her husband. Yet she thought that when Indra has come, how did she find this was Indra? Because the jata had the pollen of Mandara flowers, which is found only in Amaravati, not Naidu's Amaravati. That time we had another Amaravati, Amaravati 1.0. So in that 1.0, there was Mandara flowers. So she knew that this was Indra. But she still thought, why not have a relationship with Indra, who leads such Dikpalas? And as they were in a relationship, the original Gautama came. He spotted, he cursed Ahalya, he cursed Indra. We'll see Indra's curse in another discourse. If you attend, we'll see there. That's another chapter. Now the point is, Ahalya was cursed. A curse was pronounced on her. Generally, what will we see in Ramayana, Sampurna Ramayanam 1952, that character will be a stone. But in the Ramayana, there is no mention of stone there. It says, Adrishya Bhava. You will not be visible, which means she was made a taboo element in the society. People saw that her infidelity was her bad quality and nobody should even move with her. So nobody was even passing by that ashrama. The moment Vishwamitra narrated this past to Rama, Rama said, I need to get inside that ashrama. As he walked, Gajasimha Gati Virau Shardula Vrishabhopamau, says Valmiki. When Rama walked, it seems an elephant will be put to shame because his gait was even more majestic than what it would have. So the fine dust that was found on the upper layers of earth, that spread in thin air because Rama walked like the gait of an elephant, with his padukas touching Mother Earth, and the dust that touched the padukas of Rama and the pada of Rama spread in air, and that fell on Ahalya, who was doing prayaschittam in the form of tapasya, and she gained consciousness and she came to fall at the feet of Rama, to which Rama said, Mata, you are the mother of a great son called Shatananda, who is the Purohita of Janaka. When you have produced such a great son, when you have been a lady of such grace, maybe there was one mistake and you have done prayaschittam now. I should be seeking blessings from you, Mata, and he fell at Ahalya's feet. So Ahalya Shapa Vimochanam is not about Rama giving a Vimochanam to Ahalya. It is about understanding that mistakes can happen, but if the person really repents for it, do not keep harping on the same mistake. Learn to forgive and forget like me. So Ahalya becomes the fourth witness. Tyagaraja Swami invokes her in three places. He says, Niravadhi Sukhada Nirmala Rupa. Malam is a blemish. Nirmala Rupa. Rama, you are bereft of blemishes. Nirjita Muni Shapa. You were the one who released her from the curse of the Muni. In another place he says, Darini Shilayai Tapamu Talaka Varamu Kannirunu Ralchaga. It seems Ahalya did not have to bring waters from the Kosi river or Ganges to wash Rama's feet. Her tears were the waters that washed his feet. Kannirunu Ralchaga Shura Ahalyanu Juchi Brochi TV. Ariti. Tyagaraja Swami says, when you have been so merciful to Ahalya, why can't you show mercy on this Tyagaraja who is in this kshetram called Tiruvayyar of Tamil Nadu? When you have travelled all the way to Nepal, travel south as well. Because Rama belongs to the entire nation. So he is not restricted to one part. So she says, Ariti Dhanyu Seyave Tyagaraja Geyama. In another place he says, Padavijita Mauni Shapa, Muni Shapa. Muni has given the Shapa. Sava Paripala Vara Mantra Grahana Lola Parama Shanta Chitta Pradita Janaka Jadipa. Now, why is this important in Rama's CV? See, for Ahalya's perspective, it is fine. What is Rama's CV? Now, when Sita looks at Rama's CV, D. Ram. He is Dasharatha's son, right? Nakshatram Punarvasu. Shukla Yajurveda, because they all belong to the white Yajurveda, Shukla Yajurveda. Place of birth, Ayodhya. Mother's name, Kaushalya, living. Now you have to check all the parameters, right? When he slowly comes down, he sees the achievements. Killed Tataka. Sita frowns. Killed Subahu. Drove away Maricha. This is not, see, when you introduce, in case arranged marriage happens in your family by mistake. In that arranged marriage concept, you will make some sweet, savory. There is one list what you will make. In some paddhatis, the boy's family will go and see. In some paddhatis, the girl's family will come and see. In whichever case, so he has killed Tataka, killed Subahu, drove away Maricha. Janaka will not give. He'll say, thank you, sir. We are very happy to host you in Mithila. We are really blessed. Please go back. So that is why Ahalya Shapa Vimochanam was a part, because Ahalya Shapa Vimochanam compensated for the first three. Tataka was bad, so he killed. Ahalya is good, so he gave Shapa Vimochanam. So Ahalya in the witness box said, Rama was merciful towards me, but I also benefited Rama's life because of me in his CV, he got married. So Tyagaraja Swami puts this in the form of a beautiful jamboree in his own style through Sahitya.
Niravadhi sukhada nirmala rupa nirjita munishapa Niravadhi sukhada nirmala rupa nirjita munishapa Niravadhi sukhada
Srimad Ramayanam is a treasure trove. Every aksharam of Valmiki is a madhuram madhuraksharam. There is no doubt. Undoubtedly in Sanatana Dharma and Hinduism, if somebody wishes to begin the process of acquiring knowledge, appreciating knowledge, it has to begin with the Ramayana. Kujantam Ramarameti madhuram madhuraksharam aruhya kavita shakham vande Valmiki kokilam. That line, that verse is enough to bring tears to so many people. I'm sure you will be extremely remindful and will be unstapling memories of your past, seeing your paternal, maternal, grandmothers, grandfathers, reading the Ramayana every day. That is Ramayana. So after Ahalya Shapa Vimochanam, when there is a vivaha of Rama to Sita, Kratuhara Shikhari Kantuka Vihrutyunmuka Jagadiruntuta Jitahari Danti Danta Dantu Ronta Dasha Vadana Damana Kushala Dasha Shata Bujamuka Ripatikula Rudira Jara Bharita Prututara Tataka Tarpita Pitrika Bhrugupati Sugati Vihatikara Parudishu Parigha, says Vedanta Deshika towards the end of Balakandam. Then comes the stage where he has been asked to go on an exile. Though he was initially asked to be the heir apparent, he was asked to go on an exile for 14 years. He readily accepted. He went and told Sita. Sita said, I shall come with you to the forest. Then Lakshmana said, I will come and serve the both of you. Rama saw that the number of people coming to the forest voluntarily was increasing. So then he said, let's stop with 3. And then they sought the permission of Dasharatha. There was Dasharatha's Mrityu after that. Rama had left by then. He went to Chitrakuta. By then he made friends with Guha. He had made friends with Bharadwaja. Then after that there was Paduka Pattabhishekam. Paduka Medinim Cha, says Bhattatri in the 34th Dashakam of Sriman Narayaniyam. Then after that they went into the forest of Dandaka. He lived in the ashram of Sutikshna, Sharabhanga, Agastya, Valmiki in the 14th year. At the start of the 14th year, Yadrichaya, unexpectedly one lady came. She was the widowed sister of Ravana called Shurpa Nakha. She had nails that were akin to the winnowing fans. So she came and expressed her love to Rama. A lot more can happen over a cup of coffee. I love you. Rama said, I'm already married. She said, I don't have a problem. Rama said, I have a problem. So probably you could have expressed this love in the next avatara. Krishna avataram, no application will be rejected. This is Rama avataram. Kuch nahi kar sakta. Shurpanak. Then Shurpanak got angry. She was humiliated. She went and complained to Kharadushana Trishiras. That was a branch office of Ravana's Rakshasa headquarters. That was in Nagpur, somewhere close to Nagpur. So she went and complained. All these battalion of Rakshasas with their soda bottle, this cycle chain, they all went as 14,000 and they had to fight Rama. Asahaya Shura, Anapaya Sahasa. In less than 3 Ghatikas time, Rama was able to vanquish 13,999 of them. The one who was spared of his life, called Akampana, went and spoke about the valor of Rama. Shurpanaka went and detailed and elucidated about the beauty of Sita. Ravana was enamored. He sought the help of Maricha. Maricha came as a gem-studded golden deer. Sita asked for it. Rama immediately said yes. Lakshmana warned, yet Rama went behind the deer. He shot at the deer. Then there was a AI-trained voice. Maricha said, Ha Sita, Ha Lakshmana. Sita said, ye bhaiya ka voice hai. That is when Lakshmana said, you have been living with bhaiya for so long. Kuch nahi bigad sakte bhaiya ke paas. But then she said, Jao. Lakshman, main bol raha hun, jao. He left. He didn't draw any rekha and all that. Okay. All this Lakshman rekha. That's cockroach. In our house we use Lakshman rekha. There's no rekha there. So he left. Then Ravana wanted to come. Mahavira, right? So he wanted to cheat Sita. What could he do? He came as a sannyasi. Then Sita started narrating all that happened in her marriage. That's why you should never give unwanted information to strangers. You know, 10 years back when I used to travel by the train, my grandmother used to say, Yara, biscuit kutta chatra kuda. So Sita immediately started telling all this. Finally, he abducted Sita. Jatayu tried saving. He lost his wings. Rama came in search of Sita. He akshunya yoga pathamagrahyatam Jatayum. So he gave moksham to Jatayu. Then he consumed the fruits given by Shabari. Then he sought friendship with Hanuman, who made friends, signed an MOU with Sugriva. Because Sugriva's wife was lost, Rama's wife was lost. So both were on the same boat. So now Rama was able to vanquish Vali. Then he retrieved Kishkindha back in the hands of Sugriva. Sugriva's wife Ruma was given back. Then finally With the help of all the Vanaras, they were sent in different directions. That itself is a 2-day lecture, because there are close to 270 shlokas in the Kishkindha Kandam, where clearly Sugriva says till which country they have gone. So he mentions Yavadvipe, which is Java, from Indonesia when they go. Then he crosses to a land called Udayagiri, which is the mountain of the rising sun, which is Udayagallu in Fiji Islands, because that is exactly 90 degrees. That is a different lecture. I have to take you through different countries. He talks till the Pragjyotishapuram, the volcano. Pragjyotisham means where the fire keeps coming. He talks about a volcanic region in North Africa and goes till the Atlas Mountains, which is the Astagiri, where you see. So 180 degrees Sugriva covers. 270 shlokas, he describes the entire Atlas. Now Rama is enamored. He asks, Sugriva, you are very good in geography. Kaise bhaiya? He said, oh, these were the places where my brother chased me. So I know the addresses really well. I know the great Mahans, Usman, Habibullah, Bazullah, all of them I know. So, then finally Hanuman goes, he spots Sita. That is the beauty. He spots Sita, he gives her that ring. See, we could have also gone, but we would have forgotten that ring. He gave it correctly to Sita. We would have taken the ring, but we would have given it to Gita. That's another problem. Mistaken identity. He gave the ring to Sita. Both are important. 1 mark question this is. So then he accepted the Chudamani and came, and he conveyed the message in a very, very beautiful fashion. Kanden Sita, Drishta Sita. If they had asked me, 2 hours discourse I would have given. He didn't send me. That's right. Now, apara paravara parikha parivrita parapura parasuta davadahana javana pavana bhava kapivara parishvanga bhavita sarvasvadana. In less than 3.5 minutes, I have conveyed the essence of 15,000 shlokas now. Now, we have to go to Yuddha Kandam. We have to call the 5th witness. You remember Dhruva, Prahlada, elephant. Again, we are back inside the court. Ahalya came. Now, 5th witness, Vibhishana. Vibhishana was the younger brother of Ravana, born to the same mother and father. See how children can differ. One end is Ravana, the other end is Vibhishana. If January 31st is the last day of submission, he will do it on July 31st, he will do it on July 20th itself. Rule abiding. He will put the indicator and show the hand also. Rule abiding Vibhishana. So Vibhishana tried advising Ravana. He said, Ravana, we were thinking that Lanka is so well guarded. It's surrounded by the waters, there are tall mountains, there are dense forests, but there is one Vanara. In the middle of the night, he is able to come meet this lady, gone back, burning and causing a loss of $6 billion loss to Lanka. Lanka was burning. They had to go to IMF. So, itna bura hal kar chuka hai bhaiya. Send Sita back. This is the apt time. The moment this lady has come, our stock prices are not doing well. Bhej do wapas. You send her, you send Rama. I'm very sorry. I was supposed to abduct somebody else. It was mistaken identity. I'm selling 2 packets of Ceylon tea with it. Send. Send. But Ravana, very stubborn. That is when there is one shloka in Yuddha Kanda, Madhuram Madhuraksharam. Valmiki says, through the words of Vibhishana, when you are bound to fail, the sane words of advice given by your well-wishers will never reach your ears. When you are bound to fail, then you will repent. Annike sonnar. Kadekku pona 2 mani neram vida maattar ivar. So, Vibhishana felt extremely bad that a lady of another country has been abducted. Ravana was used to it. This was his 1000th kidnap. But he tries advising. He says, Aisa mat karo bhaiya. This is bad. This is an international issue. You have kidnapped that lady of another neighboring country. It will go to international court. Give her back. Who is listening? Now Vibhishana, Chaturbihi Saharakshasaihi, with 4 other Rakshasas, he left Lanka and came towards the shores of the southern ocean in Bharata. That is when Sugriva said, wait, you are coming from Sri Lanka, neighboring country. We are distributing SIR forms here. We have to check whether you got Aadhaar or not. CAA has some voting issue. Then Vibhishana said, don't worry, I have not come here to vote. I will seek asylum and go back. Then Sugriva goes to the Sabha of Rama and says, Rama, that man has come. Now look at Rama's reaction. Ravana? No, his brother. Oh, what should I do with him? I feel Rama. Because Rama, see, that entire chapter in Yuddha Kandam is about a chapter on communication skills. It is the third course in the second semester of MBA. After organizational behavior, you'll get, this is free, communication skills. Rama asks, Sugriva, I would like to seek your opinion. Nobody has given Sugriva this respect. So Sugriva felt very empowered. He said, Namakku poi nammala kuda yaro peshin solraya. So he started. He said, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, you have to speak in the Twitter's language, I am a cho. So in my humble opinion, I feel that he shouldn't be given asylum. Rama asked, why? He has deserted his brother. Rama looked at him. This man left Vali. The pot is calling the kettle black. But you know, in such political coalitions, you cannot do anything. You have to say, very good point. Anything else? That is when he asks Jambavan, the overlip Dumbledore of those days. So, what is your opinion? Jambavan says, nahi, usko mat dijiye. He might come and cause some confusion in our party. Then he asked Angada, young blood. He said, let's give an parikshartham, entrance exam. Rama said, if somebody is seeking asylum, will you help that person or give one question paper of 50 questions and he will die by then? So what should I do? Then he asks Hanuman, well spoken. Hanuman said, all the well-read people in the Sabha have spoken. This is the disclaimer. Nobody is well-read there. சும்மா இவரை அடிச்சு விட வேண்டியது எல்லாரும் ரொம்ப படிச்சவாள்லாம் பேசிவிட்டானா சுக்ரீவன் நானே 2 அரியர்ஸ் ஆச்சே சார் நம்மள போய் படிச்சவன் இவர் எழுதி சொல்றார் this is see these are all disclaimers whenever you know in India it is fine when I go abroad towards the end of the lecture the organizers will say here children will like to ask questions ஏதோ ஒன்று உருப்படாத ஒரு கேள்வி கேட்கும் even then I have to say excellent question அப்படின்னா தான் அது உட்காரும் இல்லாட்டா உட்காராது so excellent question. It's very intriguing, I should say, then the child will listen. Here, Rama asked Hanuman, Hanuman, you are the only foreign returned individual here. You have gone to Sri Lanka and come. You have got that stamp on your passport. Tum batao. Neen helu Hanuman. Hanuman said, Hanuman is from Karnataka. So Hanuman said, in my opinion, Vibhishana is a good man. Give him asylum. One end of the spectrum, Sugriva says, he's bad, he shouldn't be given asylum. The other end, he's very good, he has to be given asylum. What did Rama do? He read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Because, you know, all our knowledge has to come from there. It can't come Indic, right? So the 4th principle, he says, think win-win. That is the 4th habit in Stephen Covey's book. So he says, I will take the best from you. You said he is bad, he should not be accepted. You said he is good, he should be accepted. I will conclude, even if he is bad, I will accept him. Vibhishana had tears rolling down his cheeks. He said, I thought everybody will reject me, Rama, but look at you, your wife has been abducted. And who has abducted? My own brother. Yet you are not showing any disgust towards me. That is mercy. When mercy is marred or clouded with a judgmental character, that mercy is a useless tinsel. You don't punish someone because their relative has done that to you. That is mercy. But human attribute is not like that, right? His father has troubled us, yet our anger will come on the son. That is not Rama. That is where Arunachala Kavi beautifully puts this coupled with Vedanta Deshika's Raghuvira Gadyam, Ahita Sahodara Raksha Parigraha Visamvadi Vividha Sachiva Vistrambhana Samaya Samramba Samudjrumbida Sarveshwara Bhava Sakrit Prapanna Jana Samrakshana Dikshita Veera Satyavrata Pratishayana Bhumika Vibhishana Vashambadi Krita Lankaishwarya. This of the 13th century polymath Vedanta Deshika in Sanskritam and Arunachala Kavirayar's Ramanatakam in Tamil are coupled. Why? Because Sanskritam and Tamil as languages are very friendly languages. No disgust between the languages at all. Only a person who's weak in both or doesn't know one of them will criticize them. A person who has an open mind to learning will never ever put any language or any culture down. That is the sign of a person who has acquired knowledge in a meritorious fashion. So we hear couple Sanskritam and Tamil in this beautiful rendition.
Aita sahodara rakshaf parigraha visamvari vividha sachiva visrambhana samrambha samujrumbhita sarveshwara bhava sakrit prapanna jana samrakshana dikshita veera satyavrata Vibhishana vasham vadikrita Lankaishwarya Sharanam Sharanam Elrani Sharanam Sharanam Elrani Kavadu Vittal Trinamalavo Nandare Sharanam Sharanam Elrani Ariya Vibhishanan Ange Arakan Aanalum Inge Ariya Vibhishanan Ange Arakan Aanalum Inge Irusevi Ketkavai Vittu Raghava என்று கூப்பிட்டு சரணம் சரணம் என்றானே பெற்ற சடாயும் பாய்ந்தானே மருமகட்காய் உற்ற போரில் போழி மாய்ந்தானே கத்தும் யானை ஓசை கண்டு காத்தானே மாயன் பண்டு கத்தும் யானை ஓசை
Bhagavan's mercy manifested in different ways. It showed parental, paternal love to Dhruva. It showed maternal love, Vatsalyam, to Prahlada. It took away the sins that she had accumulated with her acts of the past of Ahalya. It had given that momentary solace to the wailing elephant. It gave Abhaya Pradhanam to Vibhishana when he sought asylum when he needed the most. Finally comes the sixth witness. Her name is Draupadi. Kumari Chapi Panchali Vedhi Madhya Samuthita Shubhaga Darshaniyangi Swastita Yachalochanaha Shyama Padmapalashakshi Neela Kunjita Murdhaja Tamra Tunganakhi Subhru Charupina Payodhara, says Vyasa. When she emerged from the sacrificial altar, the fire, how was she? Kumari Chapi Panchali. She emerged as a full-fledged woman. Vedi Madhyat Samuthitat. She came from the blazing fire. Shubhaga Darshaniyangi Swastitayata Lochanaha. She was pitch dark. Her eyes were like the pink petals of a newly blossomed lotus. Her beauty has been described in detail by a great poet called Anantakavi in a work called Bharata Champu. This lady, she was born, so she didn't have to, that way Drupada had a good fatherhood, this elementary school, middle school, all that, he could save time on that. So she was a full-fledged, well-educated woman who had come. So the moment she emerged, third day, her Swayamvaram was fixed. So that is when the Pandavas were living in an Ajñatavasa period. They came there as Brahmanas, in the guise of Brahmanas. When the Kshatriyas could not prove their mettle, that is when Yudhishthira dispatches Arjuna. Arjuna, he comes to the bow, he prays. When he walks towards the bow itself, there are 4 shlokas in the Adi Parva of Mahabharata, which state that he will win. The way you handle itself will prove. I'm sure when we see musicians, when flautists take that flute, the way they handle itself will know, this man is a great artist. See, it's about, suppose I go into the kitchen, I use the fork or something, my mother will know the dish will not be good. The way I handle itself will prove. When Arjuna walked towards that bow, the rishi said, victory. He lifted the bow, he aimed at the eye of the fish which was attached to a disc which was revolving, and then you have to hit in one arrow. So finally he hit, and then the Drupada said, Shadi karo. So he did that karo, he went with Draupadi. Now begins Draupadi's problems. 4th day from her birth. She went to the ashramam. Arjuna could have introduced, Kunti ji, Maya, dekhiye idhar. She is Drupad Kanya, Panchali aayi hai. Hi bolo. Something he could have said. She was a social media person. She said, share. Where will you share? There are 5 sons. That is when Draupadi said, what kind of a mother-in-law are you? Inna mamiyar ni. She said, maaf karo Draupadi, I didn't see. Arjun, why did you do this? Aisa mat karo beta. Now comes our rule master Yudhishthira. He said, see, as per 94F and 84B, if mother says it has to happen. Draupadi said, how will I marry? It's not set theory, right? Many to one function. How can I live with 5? He says, somehow you have to live. Then Krishna comes and convinces, no, there are 2 precedences. Jatila and Pramlochana in the past have married 10 and 7. Yours is better, 5. So you marry. So he's the Sibyl of those days. So he will come and give some example. Draupadi's life was fine until they got into Indraprastha, which was called Khandava Prastha. Indra was the one who supplied the architect and the fund, so he said it has to be named after me. So Khandava Prastha will be named to Indraprastha from now on. A declaration, Gazette declaration came. So in Indraprastha, when this Rajasuya Yagyam happened, this Duryodhana could not stand it. He was a man of Dushyanth Kalubhavat Vimukhair Asuya, says Bhattatri. When does anger come? One of the primary reasons for a person to get angry at another is when jealousy manifests itself, it will come out as anger. Dushyanthyaja khalu bhavat vimukhaihi asuya. He was so jealous that they had a nice house. He said, I need it. So for that he created one scene. Father, when I was walking by the floors of Indraprastha, I fell into the waters and the Drupada Kanya laughed at me. Remember, in the Mahabharata, there is no relevant verse as if Draupadi laughed at Duryodhana. He creates, he manipulates his father's mind. Then only he knows his father will agree. Then Shakuni says, call them for the game of dice. Whatever I have said will be at least 5,000 shlokas in the Adiparva. I have summarized. Because Sapadalaksha Grantham, 1,25,000 verses is Mahabharatam. 3.5 times the size of Iliad and Odyssey put together. 4.5 times the size of Paradise Lost and Paradise Gained. And we had Acharyas in Bharata Desham who knew that 1,25,000 shlokas by heart. They didn't have to use all of this. Now, there is a game of dice. Gambling, pratar, dyutaf prasangena, is a prachina prahelika. Yudhishthira sat on behalf of the Pandavas to play. Rightfully, Duryodhana should have sat. Shakuni should have not sat. Shakuni is from Gandhara, neighboring Afghanistan region. Why will he come? But Duryodhana doesn't know how to play. So he said, I have a small ligament tear. My ortho has advised I need a scribe. So on my behalf, let my uncle play. If Yudhishthira had also said, on my behalf, my uncle's son Krishna will play, it would have gotten over there, no Vishnu Sahasranamam, no Bhagavad Gita, nothing. I would have done chapter end, the end, Shubham. But here, this Yudhishthira thought, I will play. And plenty of shlokas. One after the other, this man keeps pawning. Some chains of pearls, bars of gold, barrels of gold coins, all this, and he loses. And finally, he starts pawning his own brothers, Nakula, Sahadeva, Arjuna, Bhima. When Arjuna is pawned and Shakuni wins that particular round, there are two shlokas that describe the joy in the sabha. Because from then on, Arjuna will be their servant. Imagine in the house, everybody will come, sir, I want to take one photo with Arjuna. Everybody perikkararnu paakano, sir. Arjuna is your servant. So everybody was one. Finally, Yudhishthira pawned himself. And he lost, as usual. It should have ended there. That is when our hero Karna comes. Ullattil nalla ullam. This Karna says, why don't you pawn Draupadi? This good man. We have made Karna a very good man. Karan has become very good. He conducts coffee shows. But Karna, as per Mahabharata, is not so good. If we want to write our own Mahabharata, it is fine. Vyasa's, to the best of my knowledge, Vyasa wrote Mahabharata, and Vyasa's Mahabharata, Karna is not good. So Draupadi has to be pawned. She was pawned and she was won over. Now, that is when Duryodhana says, bring her to the Sabha, because all that I have gained are in the Sabha. Let she also be brought. There is one person called Pratikramin who is advised to go and bring Draupadi. Draupadi is seated in her Antahpuram, Shuddhatma, inner apartment. Outside, this Pratikramin stands and says, Maharagni, you have been invited to the Sabha. She says, I am in my periods. So I am bleeding. I cannot come. Ekavastra Rajasvala. I cannot come now. I am weak. This man goes and says, he says, Draupadi Maharani has said she will not be able to come. She also asked a legal question. If Yudhishthira pawned himself first and then pawned her, or pawned her first and then pawned himself. Duryodhana slaps. She is a slave. And she has the audacity to question me. Dushasana, go pull her to the Sabha Mantapam. Dushasana goes, catches her by her braid and drags her all along. 3 shlokas, blood is strewn on the floor. Ekavastra tvadhoni virodamana rajaswala sabham anaya panchalim, says Vyasa. She comes to the Sabha Mantapam, Ekavastra, draped in one cloth. That time, she goes and asks Dhritarashtra, see, you are externally blind. Have you also become blind internally? Am I not your daughter-in-law? When your sons are playing such a nasty game, shouldn't you be a good administrator questioning your sons? He says, what can I do, Draupadi? She goes and asks Bhishma. Bhishma, you are Gangeya, the son of Ganga. Shouldn't you be questioning? That is when one small place in the entire Mahabharata where Bhishma commits a mistake. He says, I am not sure what if they have done by pawning you is right or wrong. He says, I need to consult. When a lady is asking for help, this man says, I need to consult. That is why he was thrown on the bed of arrows for such a long time. Then she goes and asks Drona, Drona, you're my father's once upon a time friend. Shouldn't you have that iota of mercy on me like how you shower on your son Ashwathama? Shouldn't I be treated as your child as well? No reply. Kripa doesn't reply. Vidura stands and speaks for her. So does one of the brothers called Vikarna, but their voices are not heard. That is when our hero Karna says, Duryodhana, how does it matter if this one cloth is over her or she is seen without it? Vivastram. Whose dialogue? Karna. Who reads the original Mahabharata? We are influenced only by movies. So that is when Duryodhana says, good idea, Karna. Dushyasana, take that one piece of cloth from her. That moment is a moment that we all freeze in the Mahabharata when you're reading the original for a minute. That time, she feels there is no one, there are so many of them around me, 5 husbands, 1 Acharya, 2 Mahapurushas, but none come to help this woman. That time, she remembers a shloka of Vasishtha. Pura Jnatammaya Vasishtena Puragitam Mahatmana. Vasishtha has said, in your life, in your personal or professional front, when you face a challenge, when you feel nothing is working for you, Smritva Harihi, think of Hari at that moment. Help will be given to those who seek help of Hari. That time she closes her eyes, holding that sari between her jaws. She thinks from her heart, Dhyayas Sada Savitrimandala Madhyavarti. Maharishis say, Krishna, that you sit in the midst of the Soorya Mandalam, Dhyayas Sada Savitrimandala Madhyavarti. People call you as the one who is the substratum for Chetanam and Achetanam, Narayana. The one who has the eyes that are akin to the petals of a lotus. The one who sits on a lotus, Sarasijasana, Sannivishtaha. The one who sports dazzling ornaments, Keyuravan, Makarakundalavan, Kiriti, Hari, Hiranmaya Vapuhu, says the Upanishad Krishna. Where are you, that omniscient, omnipresent Bhagavan? Dwaraka Nilayachyuta. Krishna, you are 1650 kilometers away from me in a beautiful island called as Dwaraka. Hey Krishna, Dwaraka. Nilaya, you are stationed there. Achyuta, didn't Rukmini, when she wrote a letter to you, Shutva Gunan, Bhuvana Sundara Shrinvatante, Nirvishya Karna Vivaraihi, Haratongatapam, Rupam Drisham, Dishimatam, Akhilartalabam, Tvayachyuta, didn't she call you as Achyuta, the one who doesn't betray? When you don't betray your devotees, am I not one of your devotees and friends? Dwaraka Nilayachyuta. Hey Bhagavan, to protect the cows and calves of Govardhana, you lifted the mountain and held it for 7 days. You just have to come for a minute to protect this friend of yours. Dwaraka Nilayachyuta Govinda. Hey Bhagavan, your eyes spell and speak of mercy and ambrosia. Achyuta Nilayachyuta Govinda Pundarikaksha. Even when Shurpanaka had to describe your eyes, took her, she says, Tarunau, Rupa Sampannau, Sukumarau, Mahabalau, Pundarika Vishalakshau. Hey Krishna, even when you're reprimanded, you're called as the lotus-eyed one. You are my friend, Pundarikaksha. whom do I have, Krishna? Rakshamam, Sharanagatam. I have nobody else but you, Krishna. I have nothing else but your name. I put my palms together and raise it together above my head, leaving everything to you, completely surrendering. Anukulyasya sankalpam pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati iti vishwasaha goptritva varanam tata karpanyam atmanikshepe shadvida sharanagatihi, says the Shastram. Hey Krishna, I have nobody else but you. Can't you show mercy on me? She lifted the same cry what Draupadi had. A great Acharya Varya from Karnataka says, Anayu karadare adimula bandante. When that elephant cried at 7:25 p.m. today that elephant cried, Adimula bandante, Ajamilanu karadare. When Ajamila cried in Haridwara Kshetram, Narayana bandante, Adaviyalli Dhruvaraya karadare. When that boy of Kilapanchavarshaha cried in the midst of the dense forest, Adaviyalli Dhruvaraya karadare. Vasudeva bandante, didn't Vasudeva come? Sabhayalli Draupadi karadare. Shri Krishna bandante, using all these witnesses as precedences. Purandaradasa of the 15th century says, when all of them called your name and you came, when this Purandaradasa calls, why can't Vithala of Pandharpur come? Ninna dasara dasanu na karadare. Yenna palisa beku Purandara Vithala. And followed it up with a beautiful kriti of Rakshamam Sharanagatam.
Aaniyu karidare, aaniyu karidare, adimoola bandante, aaniyu karidare, adimoola bandante. ಅಜಾಮಿಳನು ಕರೆದರೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಕರೆದರೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಬಂದಂತೆ ಅಜಾಮಿಳನು ಕರೆದರೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಬಂದಂತೆ ನಾರಾಯಣ ಬಂದಂತೆ ಅಡವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಧ್ರುವರಾಯ ಕರೆದರೆ ಅಡವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಧ್ರುವರಾಯ ಕರೆದರೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ದ್ರೌಪದಿ ಕರೆದರೆ ವಾಸುದೇವ ಬಂದಂತೆ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ದ್ರೌಪದಿ ಕರೆದರೆ ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಬಂದಂತೆ श्री कृष्ण बलदेव श्री कृष्ण बलदेव दासर दासनु ना करे निन्न दासर दासनु निन्न दासर दासनु ना करे ಎನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕು ಎನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕು ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲ ಎನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕು ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲ ವಿಠಲ रक्षमा शरणागतं रक्षमा शरणागतं रक्षमा शरणागतं पक्षिवाहन पद्मजारमण पन्नग शयन पद्मनाभ प्रभो रक्षमा शरणागतं शिवाहन पद्मजारमण पन्नग शयन पद्मनाभ प्रभो रक्षमा शरणागतं लक्षणजित शुभ लक्षणजित कोटि शुभ लक्षणजित शतकोटि शुभ लक्षणजित मनन शतकोटि शुभ वक्षस्थल भूषित मणिकौस्तुभ लक्षणजित मदन शतकोटि शुभ वक्षस्थल भूषित मणिकौस्तुभ पीतवसन नवमौक्तिक हार पीतवसन नवमौक्तिक हार धृतशङ्ख चक्र गदाब्जमहित नरपारिजात नूतनामगीत निखिलाण्ड कोटि जीवाधार प्रभो रक्षमा शरणागतम् गुरुपवनपुर वास गुरुपवनपुर वास मनोहर गिरिजाधव सन्नुत जगदीश्वर परम भक्त परिपालन चतुर परमीनाक्षि सुत चित्त मनोहर परम भक्त परिपालन चतुर परमीनाक्षि सुत चित्त मनोहर
Draupadi, being the sixth witness, confirmed in the presence of the judge that I am a living testament to being a recipient of Bhagavan's mercy. Of course, Tirumangai Alvar, in his beautiful Tamil Pasuram that describes Tiruvallikeni, a Divyadesham here of Parthasarathi, says, Krishna was in Dwaraka, Draupadi is in Hastinapura. Hastinapura means the city of the elephants. Hastinapura. Dwaraka means the city with a hole. Vottaipurattukkum Aanaipurattukkum Pudavai Vyabaram Nadandadam. There was a sari business that took place between the city of the hole and the city of the elephants. Now, the question that Tirumangai Alvar asks is, she had to be given saris. He was not physically present. Where will he send? Can we dunzo it? Can I use a genie? How did he send? So he says that the Mangalya Sutra was made of threads of all the wives who were the wives of the 100 Kauravas. Bhagavan thought, let me use all these threads from the Mangalya Sutras of the wives of the 100 Kauravas, spun it into a beautiful multi-hued silk and sent it, says Tirumangai Alvar. Now, the beauty is, Draupadi being a witness to Bhagavan's mercy and being a recipient of Bhagavan's mercy doesn't stop here. Towards the end of the Mahabharata Yuddham, after it was done and dusted, Uddhava, Gishpati Putra, the son of Brihaspati, goes and asks Krishna, his closest friend, Krishna, I know that you have had a purpose for this avataram, Paritranaya Sadhunam, Vinashaya cha Dushkritam, Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, is the shloka that comes in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's called as Avatara Rahasya Ghattam. You have achieved your purpose, ain't you? To which Krishna said, I have achieved whatever I have wanted, but I still have something that pains me. Uddhava asks, what pains you? You generally pain others. What pains you? Krishna said, in the middle of that sabha, when she knew that everybody that whom she knew well and very well had deserted her, that time she had 100% confidence that I will come. She invoked my name Govinda. What confidence and friendship Draupadi had on me. For that friendship and for that love and for that confidence, I feel I have not done enough. That is the biggest regret when I go from this Bhulokam Uddhava. Rinam pravriddham is the word used. Rinam means debt, loan. I have a loan. I have not done enough for Draupadi. So this concept of 6 witnesses suggests that the mercy of Bhagavan can manifest in different ways. Vatsalyat, Abhayapradana Samayat, Artarti Nirvapanat, Audaryat, Aghasoshanat, Aganitaha Shreyaf Padaf Prapanat. Vatsalyat, through maternal love. Whom was it for? Prahlada. Abhayapradana Samayat, mercy that came in the form of giving asylum. Whom was it that for? Vibhishana. Artarti Nirvapanat. Arti means distress. The one who removes the distress is Bhagavan as Gajendra to the elephant. Artarti Nirvapanat. Audaryat, magnanimity. How much ever you want, take it in the form of saris. Audaryat. Aghasoshanat. Even if she had knowingly committed mistakes, those mistakes cease to be mistakes if Bhagavan sees it. Aghasoshanat. Aganita Shreyaf Padav Prapanat. The one who attained that prosperity which is limitless and boundless by every means. Who are these 6 people? Vatsalyat, Abhayapradana Samayat, Artarti Nirvapanat, Audaryat, Aghasoshanat, Aganita Shreyaf Padav Prapanat, Sevya Shripati Reka Eva Jagatam, Yetesha Shatsakshinah, Prahladascha, Vibhishanascha, Karirat, Panchali, Ahalya, Dhruvaha, Shatsakshinah. These are the 6 witnesses to Bhagavan's mercy. If the judge had asked, I need one more evidence, I am sure Obul Reddy sir, who had such devotion to Bhagavan through serving for arts and culture, would have been the 7th witness saying that I am also a recipient of Bhagavan's mercy. Because a person who is not attached to Sanatana Dharma can never understand the value of Shastriya Sangeetam and Natyam if every Sabha of Chennai has had his name in the background saying Obul Reddy has contributed. It means he has valued that art form. That value is what that we all deeply attach in Dharma. How much is not the question, whether you intend to serve Dharma. That intent is very, very important. I'm sure Bharata Desham is so strongly guarded by our defense forces in the borders. But defense won't come only in the form of army, navy. Shastriya Sangeetam, Natyam is also an essential part of Desha Rakshanam. And that is very important, that when a person has devoted a significant part of his life to understanding the depth of Iyal Isai Nadagam. That is why when they asked us, we were all so elated and we came together where we had Vadyam, we had Sangeetam, we had speech and we had Natyam. So this is a tribute to the 100th year, because Vedam says, Shatamanam bhavati shatayah purushaha. 100th year is an important year in a human varsha. Shatamanam bhavati. Even if you fall at the mother's feet, even when you're 80, she'll say, live another 100. That time we should not add another 100. Then pension giving company will find it a problem. So what it essentially means is, Vedam says 100. And the 100th year of a great personality is celebrated through Shastriya Sangeetam, Shastriya Natyam and Pravachanam. So I'm extremely thankful to the organizers for having found such merit in our Shastric forms to be presentable on such a stage. We conclude, as we conclude this Tillana, there will be a small ceremony after this, just for about 5 to 10 minutes. Now we conclude this presentation. I told you at the start itself, this is my first stage, I don't know, in 15 years, that I'm the oldest in the entire platform. This has never happened. Either there'll be somebody who will be older to me, but this is the first platform where they were born after I entered the college. So most of them here on stage, but we have a very promising, a very vibrant, a very talented Gen Z seated on stage. So I'm sure in the coming years, Bharata Desham will see such prosperity through them. We conclude through a Tillana that celebrates the grace of Krishna through another Krishna. His name was Bala Murali Krishna. So Bala Murali Krishna celebrates Krishna's greatness, his beauty, through his playing of the flute in this Tillana that is set in the place where he played, which is Brindavana. So the ragam is Brindavani.
Dheem na 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 dil na na dil na 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 dheem. Dheem na 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 dil na na dil na 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 dheem. Na dheem na dheem na dheem na 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 dil na na dil na 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 dheem. Dheem na dheem na dheem na dheem na 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 dil na na dil na 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 dheem. Na dheem na dheem na dheem na 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 dil na na dil na 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 dheem. Dheem na dheem na dheem na dheem na na dheem na na tadikita to tagita jam ta jam ta jam ta ta jam tarita jam tarita jam tarita na dheem na na dheem na na tadikita to tagita jam ta jam ta jam ta ta jam tarita jam tarita jam tarita na dheem ta na na dil na dil na na dheem. Soga sulura hoyalu kori తీయని సొగసులూర హొయలు కోరి ధరించేరితిని నీల క్షీర న్యాయమై మై మరచి సకల చరాచరమెల్ల పులకించి తీయని హాయని పించు చిరురవళిని మురళి మాధురి తీయని హాయని పించు చిరురవళిని మురళి మాధురి దీర్ఘనా దీర్ఘనా తదిగిట తు తగిట జం త జం త జం
Namaskaram. In the coming months of December, January and February, there are very many discourses of mine, both in Tamil and in English, across different cities. The details of them have been posted on all my social media handles. Nevertheless, once more, for your attention and for your sake, I would like to read out very quickly. And on the 30th of December, tentatively I am to speak on the importance of Nutiyattu Divyadesham on the Vaikuntha Ekadashi Eve for PGP Auditorium in Singapore. On the 31st of December, it is for Tamil Isai Mandram in Georgetown. I will be speaking on Tiruppugadil Ramayanam. Coming to the month of January, on the 17th of Jan, I will be speaking on Narayaniyam in Wonder for Shanmukhananda in Mumbai. On the 18th of December, it is our grand production called Agre Pashyami at the very same premises. 1st of February, I am to participate and speak at the Jain University Summit in Kochi. And 13th of February, it will be a special lecture for Shivaratri for Odakattur Mat, which will be organized by Ramakrishna Bhajana Sabha. On the 22nd of February, for the first time, I am going to be a part of Mayuram Bhajanotsavam in the very, very famous and very close to heart Mayavaram. So that is the program for now. I know it's too many programs. All this has been put in the form of poster. Please do participate wherever you can. Namaskar.